I am Dr. Shun Huddleston.
And I am Dr. P. Ryan.
Mother.
Storyteller.
Wanderlust.
Friend.
Workout Barbie.
All around good time.
And we are
the Rosé Thorns Podcast.
Hey, good people. Welcome to another episode of Rosé Thorns Podcast. I am Dr. Shun.
And I am Dr. P. Ryan.
And we are glad to be in service of the people. One more time.
Happy to be here. Huh?
So, hey, friend.
Hi.
What you been up to?
What have I
Give
been
me some
up to?
updates. What is your roses and thorns?
I have been touring, as I feel like has been my check-in
You
for a
have
couple.
been traveling quite a bit.
Yeah, just like Beyonce. We neck and neck. Going to city.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Some of the streaming around, like her last show in Vegas.
You know, I'm a little upset with her.
Why? She had Destiny Child there.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
Huh?
Yes,
I was sick.
I wasn't there either.
I was sick.
She had a thing happening.
But she did have Destiny's Child there. Love you, Beyonce.
It was so great.
You know, if you ever want to do a Destiny's Child with P. Ryan, I mean,
I'm
available. I got my goal.
I'm available.
Okay. Now, she was in Vegas, but I was recently in Chicago.
Okay.
Just reflecting.
Chi-town.
Yeah. A little deep dish. Ain't nothing wrong.
Oh,
right?
Say less.
Celebrating Chicago Pride with one of my closest guy friends, Bryce, and another group of friends that we were with. It was a good time. It had its roses and thorns.
Right.
But you know, bump the thorns.
Bump the thorns.
I had
Just
a great
focus
time.
on the roses.
I had a great time.
Roses, you know. But though, you can allow the thorns to grow you, and stretch you,
sharpen me, if you will.
Yes.
Never again.
So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good to hear.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it. Okay.
One day.
One
not
day.
Today.
Okay, not today.
Mm-hmm. How about you? How you been?
I've been good. So today I did a photo shoot for the No Houston magazine. So KNOW.
Top model.
No.
Huh?
Me?
Yeah.
No. So the No magazine I'll be in the first inaugural edition where it is focused on the women to know in Houston.
You are a woman to know. I told you this.
Praise be.
You're on the way. Bravo. Okay.
Bravo.
Andy?
Call me.
Huh?
So it was a wonderful group of women today for the photo shoot. So we did our photo shoots and then we did this cute little runway walk inside of the building. And then they had hors d'oeuvres and wine and all that fun stuff.
Craft services.
Really
you want to be
place.
on top?
The house was really cute. It was a house.
Yeah.
This sort of newer build modern home. And it was just for the purposes of like you using it to like film and create.
I love that.
And I was like, wow, I thought it was an Airbnb. She was like, no, it's not. I was like,
house,
oh, it's a creator's house.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
I love that.
So super cute and had like all these like, nice areas within the home to shoot in. But so did that. And then we did interviews afterwards. They asked some cute questions like, what do you do? What's your name? Why are you in your field? And what are you wearing to the lunch party?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know. I threw out a couple names, but who knows? We'll see.
You
but it's a good
know,
time.
but they're going to find out, and you're going to look great.
Listen,
have
you met me?
Heard you.
So excited about that. So it'll be out soon in the next few months.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. You ready to get to chit-chatting?
I think so.
Well, for today's episode, we are talking about a deeply concerning and urgent change that is impacting the mental health community and the safety of the LGBTQIA plus communities across the country.
Yeah.
Okay. So on July 17th, the federal government, that man, eliminated the Press 3 option on the 988 suicide and crisis lifeline. Mm-hmm. And what we do know is that this option has been a lifeline for this community by connecting them to trained and affirming counselors, right? And since the inception of this Press 3 option on the 988 suicide crisis line, it has serviced and helped over 1.3 million people. And that is a pretty big deal. And not to have that could be the start of a crisis in a lot of ways.
Detrimental.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for many, that use the 988 crisis line and then more specifically, chose option 3, it wasn't just about support. It was a function of survival for many people, right? And saving people's lives. And so what we hope today is we talk about, this issue and some of the concerns and hopefully some ways to move forward and think about other ways in which to get support. This episode, could be helpful for other mental health professionals, parents, any young people, and definitely allies, right?
Yeah. Anyone willing to learn more about this issue and hopefully engage this issue.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So let's talk about why does this crisis line matter? And particularly the option 3.
Yeah.
I would say particularly for the queer and trans group and youth specifically, who probably used it more so than any other groups. It's particularly for those youth who are experiencing some suicidal ideations and even some attempts in some capacity. According to the Trevor Project, about 41% of queer and trans youth have seriously considered suicide, right? And the rates are even higher among transgender and non-binary youth. So this line specifically was for acute crisis, right?
Yeah.
And I know you specifically work with folks who are within these groups and capacity. Did you ever have anyone talk about using this crisis line or?
So not explicitly using this crisis line, but the data here that queer youth are at higher rates of experiencing suicidal thoughts, making suicide attempts. This stems right out of the research, right? So Elon Meyer created this theory called the minority stress theory, right? Minority stress model, which highlights that it was created first for gay, lesbian, and bi folks, but it can certainly be applied to folks who are expansive in their gender experience, right? And it just highlights that navigating homophobia, transphobia in different facets of life, right? Family life, the broader society, workplace environment, it puts you at increased risk of negative health outcomes.
Absolutely.
So not just suicide, suicidal ideation and attempts, but also anxiety, depression. We think negative health outcomes like physical health.
Absolutely.
Right? We also, financial health.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There are so many negative health outcomes that these groups are susceptible to, which falls right in line with the data that the Trevor Project has put out.
I know. I agree. And then one of the other beautiful things about the crisis line, particularly the option 3, is that it connected folks to trained counselors.
Absolutely.
People who have gone through, some process to better understand this very special and specific group and to know how to, help them. And then to your point, oftentimes it would be related to the things that we talked about, coming out, misgendering, the discrimination that's faced, also family rejection or even homelessness.
It's a resource that adequately buffers the oppressions, right, that are outlined in this minority stress model.
I agree.
Right? So taking this away is like such a gut punch to the community.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, definitely.
And also this idea of folks being trained and having cultural competence and humility in this area. It's so important because, we talked about earlier on in our journey, what is a psychologist?
Right.
Or what is a mental health professional?
Yes, we did talk about that, yeah.
And what we didn't highlight is that a psychologist is not a catch-all.
Oh, absolutely not.
No. A mental health professional is not a catch-all.
No.
And
it's too broad.
Yeah. And the real is that many of us go into this profession and, excuse my French, but we don't give a fuck about certain groups.
No, seriously.
Right?
Right. Intentionally and unintentionally.
Yeah.
I agree.
There are certain people, we come into this profession and, we want to work with the worried well. We want to work with
higher functioning.
Right. The people who can afford.
Right, who can afford it. Exactly.
And you can bet your bottom dollar that there are people with degrees and licenses who don't really care, don't want to work with LGBT folks, similar to how some of them don't want to work with Black folks.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I agree. But there's so much harm in that.
So much. And having a resource like this where you have folks specifically trained to deal with these specialty issues.
Right.
It's so important.
It's so important because when there is not a level of training, there can be a lot of unintentional harm related to being misunderstood. You can escalate different type of distress depending on what, is being presented. Also, it could be an invalidating experience if the person's not trained.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Imagine living in an invalidating world and then having this, one-on-one experience and experiencing invalidation again. Right.
When you're trying to seek help.
Yeah. There are so many people that I work with. I do work with a lot of folks who are expansive in their gender and sexual identities. And one of the things in our journeys that they highlight is that, in this space, I don't have to explain anything to you, or I don't feel like you have an agenda where you're kind of bringing me through some sort of like conversion therapy.
Yeah, right.
Trying to tell me that my experience is not it and I need to maybe shift this way of my thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Conversion therapy is a lot of negative research.
It's unethical.
It's unethical.
Okay. But the people still out here.
It does not do anything. It does not add any value to anyone's distress and
nothing but harm.
And then even thinking about like the importance of affirming care in general, right? Why is that important? Why do, people from, the trans and queer community need to be affirmed? I think particularly, oftentimes they have negative experiences in the healthcare system. I've had, I was earlier on in my career and working in private practice, I had a family come in to bring their child there because they felt like, the kid had come out to them and had, talked about, what their sexual preferences were, how they wanted to identify. And the parents was convinced that it was something wrong with them. And they need to be therapized to deal with that.
And I love the question you raised, like, why is affirmation important? Affirmation is just a confirmation.
It's a confirmation
of your humanity.
What I was like, there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, it's a confirmation of your humanity.
With you, of the way you're treating him.
And it baffles my mind that people question why folks need to be affirmed when y'all out here in the streets looking for affirmation every day.
Every day.
Right? I think it's appropriate for me to say this
in
this space. Even in this time where we talk about gender affirmation, for some reason we feel like we are the gatekeepers against gender expansive folks receiving affirmation. But baby, you get that haircut every 2 weeks. Right? Mama, you put on that lace front. Your titties done. You go to the gym.
You got your BBL.
What's not clicking? That is gender affirmation, sweetie.
Completely. 100%.
Right?
Right.
That Beijing you got in that hair?
Not the Beijing.
That's gender affirmation, sweetheart. So if it's good for the goose, it got to be good for the gander.
It got to be good for the gander, right?
Huh?
That is hilarious.
Okay. Sorry, I don't want to derail.
Don't derail, but it was still good, though. I think that it's, it's meaningful and sort of understanding how this can go separately, right? And not just thinking about, the queer and trans community, but also alternative ways to think about this and look at this, right?
All humans want affirmation.
We all do. We all do.
Yeah.
And, with this crisis line and the option that we've talked about, it has definitely provided or did provide a confidential and safe space where these culturally competent and trained counselors were of service in helping sort of mitigate suicidality and other distressful issues that were popping up and needed to be attended to for people. So, and I think also in being able to speak to someone who understands what you're going through, it really brings out this idea like somebody gets it.
Yeah.
And that feels good.
I don't have to do the labor
I don't have to do
teaching
the labor.
You something, right? Like I can come in and just get straight to the...
Right, you get it.
This is a safe space.
Right.
You understand me, you see me, yeah.
Right. So I think, the other piece of this is that the crisis line worked. It worked.
Sure did.
And to the point earlier, there are over 1 million people who had used the crisis line, and particularly for the option to speak to someone that was gender affirming and supportive.
It was an easily identifiable resource that you could quickly go to.
Yes. So then I think it brings to talk about and think about, especially, as mental health clinicians, psychologists, as we may, to think about other alternative ways to think about this and to think about and talk about some options in terms of streamlining services and finding other resources for support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, the stripping away of this resource, I want people to know it makes it harder.
It does make
to find
harder.
resources, but it does not make it impossible.
Correct.
right? And so I just know even in Texas, myself and other clinicians in various capacities that I work, we have a running list for people and institutions we come into contact with, where it's just like, do you need a crisis line? Do you need gender affirming care? Do you need mental health resources? These places in the area are offering this. Places in Houston, places in Dallas, places in Austin. And so if we're doing this work, I can only imagine the folks in other states, the clinicians in other states who are also doing this work. So, they may be stripping away the institutional funding, but we as individuals have an impact as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And also the funding from that institution has been stripped, but I just wanted to highlight that there are other institutions still running. So you mentioned the Trevor Project.
I mean, they've stripped some of the funding from the Trevor Project, but it still exists.
But it's still there.
It's still there, right?
So we are yet holding on.
Do some research around the Trevor Project and finding some ways in which to be in touch with them to, assist them.
And their crisis line is still 24/7, 365,
it is.
And it's still up and running.
Yes, it is.
The LGBT National Hotline is still up and running. The LGBT National Help Center is still up and running. And there's also Trans Lifeline, specifically geared toward trans and non-binary folks. Right. And so while these things are still going, you can look at those resources.
Absolutely.
Also, there may be some extra labor, Psychology Today.
Yeah, right? I was going to mention that too. Psychology Today.
Therapy for Black girls, right? Like you can do the work to find individual folk. Therapy for Black men. That resource is there. Beam is a mental health resource, I believe.
I think I've heard of that one, Beam. What is Beam?
It's led by Yolo Akili. It is specifically geared towards Black and brown folks, BIPOC folks, if you will, who are also expansive in gender and sexuality. There's a directory there, which is a great resource. So.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one. So I could add that to my resource list, the Beam. But yeah, so I think, the main point here is a couple things, right? Yeah. It's unfortunate that the funding has changed, as it relates to attending to queer and trans people. But also, it's important for you to think about or consider other ways in which to find that support and to work through issues around that. Yeah. Yeah.
One power hungry monkey don't stop no show.
Not a power hungry. You sure are.
Huh?
Right.
Huh?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Then I think lastly, we hope that this has been helpful and bringing some insight. And, always, it's our pleasure to talk about different topics that impact the community, right?
Absolutely.
And as always, also...
You don't have to thank us.
You're welcome. Thank you for tuning into the Rosé Thorns Podcast.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Special shout out to LP and the Hive.
This podcast is produced by Braxton Turner, Dr. Shun Huddleston, and Dr. P. Ryan Grant.
Join us next time. But until then, keep blooming.